as the film sort of posits, that could ever reach a higher dimension? Are we still part of the same continuum? Are we still part of the same family? And it's an unanswerable question, but to me it's a fascinating question to ask. And it's one where, you know, when you get to Dr. Man and you get to The Lie told by Dr. Brown, you get to conflicting ideas of what's important, you know, what your responsibilities are as a human being to your own immediate family versus the race, the species, the continuation of, you know, our DNA.
But what fascinates me is, and I'll explain more about this term, and we're going to technically and narratively and artistically, if it's the right track, but obviously it elaborates on visual and sort of idea motifs from other movies of yours, but this is thematically so beautiful to see evolve into finally forms that are that movie strip, either the circular shape of the sort of inhabitable surface, the fact that the immense library of alternative times and spaces repeating themselves over and over again are articulating visually that. And I think in that the movie is profoundly symphonic. And two or three things struck me as extremely deliberate. One is the desire to make it symphonic at a purely cinematic level, where dialogue becomes another rhythm of music, where it becomes important as emotional coda or punctuation, but as much as music is, where this sort of Philip Glassian music has that continuum, that circle motif, but it comes to a point where you rhythmically use also the repetition, incredibly deliberate repetition of certain angles, the angle of the camera on the side of the nose of the ship, over and over again to punctuate. And I wonder if that construction is deliberate before the mix and as you design the movie, or if it's instinctive as you go.
To me, it's instinctive. To me, all those things come about. I try to trust the subconscious, try to trust instinct. And then as you start to fix on things, as you start to say, okay, I want the score to be based on the pipe organ, you do that out of instinct, as I did, and then when I'm talking to Hans about it, I have to start to articulate why I think that's important, and then you start to be a little more deliberate. You start talking about ideas of religiosity and saying, okay, it's not a religious movie, but aesthetically speaking, you know, the architecture of cathedrals, stained glass windows, the sound of the organ, these represent man's most successful attempt aesthetically to communicate the metaphysical, to communicate what might be beyond our level of reality. So we want to appropriate some of that feeling, that seriousness, if you will. Things like that. And as far as the cyclical repetitions of the thing, there's a certain amount of planning. There's a very strong relationship between the structure of the film and some of those Escher prints of Mobius strips. You talk about particularly when the horsemen come up and meet each other on a Mobius strip, and I even know that one, I'm sure. There's a story structure that's deliberately sort of using those things as a jumping off point. But then aesthetically, camera angle wise, and everything, you know, the repetition of the camera angles came about really as a result of saying, okay, how do we make a science fiction film that I can really believe in the physics of it, and I can really believe that somebody went to outer space and shot this stuff. So we looked at all this NASA footage, and of course what you realize is with real space footage, you're always seeing the same angles because they have the camera mount, the hard mount, and once you embrace that as an idea, then interesting editorial, interesting aesthetic, symbolic things come out of that. You get a very specific resonance aesthetically or cinematically between the memory, the dream he has at the beginning, and then when they're landing on the water planet, for example. In the script, it wasn't really there because I didn't know how we would shoot it, but when you wind up shooting it to that discipline, they wind up being very related in a way that I think is productive.
It's not on film! I mean, in the production meetings, I'm sure they hammered you the millions of dollars. He shot with a Los Angeles crew. We are the best. He chose the best, and we built the best for him. And it was a pleasure to come to work. Your leadership leadership goes right down to the welders, the carpenters, the set dressers, all of us at the bottom. You can feel your leadership. And when he says he's going to be on stage 27 on Friday, you better be ready, because he moves. He knows how to be efficient on the set. I thank you, and I thank you very much. You provided a lot of jobs, health care, and a beautiful movie that will last for 100 years.
Thank you.